To get us started, what happens during the book production process?
Well, book production is a sort of catch-all term that we use to describe the whole process of turning a final draft of a manuscript into an actual printed book. So for many authors and readers too, this process is very mysterious because everybody knows what a manuscript is and everybody knows what a book is, but very few people know how a manuscript becomes a book. And that's okay. We don't need everybody to know that because it's my job to know that. That's what a production editor is for.
What does a production editor do for a book?
Production editor is two important things rolled into one. First, we are editors. And second, we are project managers. So it's our job to shepherd a book through each new stage of book production. And we're doing that with an eye both to editorial considerations for that book and also logistical publishing considerations for that book. So we really do all of that by creating and managing the book production schedule, making editorial and logistical decisions for a book, coordinating communication, because as I think we're probably going to talk about in a few minutes, there are a lot of people involved in book production. So it's our job to make sure that all the right people are talking to each other. We also do our jobs by supporting and guiding our authors through each stage of production. We select and instruct and evaluate the freelancers who participate in the book production process. We ensure that books are accurate and consistent and of a high quality. And we do a lot of troubleshooting and a lot of problem solving because a lot of book production is a surprise. You maybe don't know exactly how things are going to go when it all starts. So we have to be sort of nimble and able to think on our feet, so to speak. And our managing editor here at UC Press actually, I think, has a really elegant metaphor for the work of a production editor. You can think of us like the conductor of an orchestra. There are many, many people who will work on a book during production. Those are all the musicians who play their instruments. And it's my job as the production editor to make sure that everyone is in tune, to make sure that everyone is in tempo. We are trying to bring out the best in every musician so that the final piece, or in this case, the final book, is something that's beautiful and engaging for the audience.
So who else is involved in the book production process? Who's part of this orchestra?
So during editorial production, a copy editor will edit the book word for the sake of style and mechanics primarily. A typesetter will compose the book, which means that they take the final copy edited manuscript files and set them into book pages that have been designed by a book designer. And incidentally, the book designer is another person who's involved in the process. They work on the interior, but of course, they also very importantly work on the cover to make sure that the final book is really dressed to the nines. We also have proofreaders who will read the typeset pages word for word, and they're checking for lingering errors that didn't get resolved in copy editing. And they're also ferreting out any typographic problems that might have occurred when the pages made that transition from manuscript into typeset pages. Then we also have indexers. They read the typeset pages, and of course, they're creating an index, which is a tool for readers to use. It really captures the important concepts and themes and people or things that the author discusses. Of course, a printer is vital. The printer manufactures the book and turns it into an actual real life object that can sit on the bookshelf. And then we also have conversion experts who will turn the final book into an ebook that can be bought and downloaded by readers. So you might be thinking, wow, that's a lot of people. And you're right. And that's why I'm here as the production editor. It's my job, as I said, to conduct this orchestra, to manage the interplay between all these people and all these processes. But one thing that I'll mention is that, as a production editor, my job is not just about management. PEs like me are highly skilled editors and we're highly skilled problem solvers. From the author's perspective, it can seem like we just sort of pop in and out at random intervals. But actually, we're doing a lot of very intensive work on a book through the 6 to 9 months that a book is in production. So even though you don't see us a lot, we are always present and we are, making sure that everything stays on track and of a high quality. It can be difficult as an author to kind of keep it straight. Who should I talk to about this question? And basically, I just want to say that once your book is in production, you can never go wrong by asking your production editor.
Who are the production editors at UC Press?
We are a team of 7 production editors and 1 managing editor. As a team, I added it up, and we have well over a century of experience in book production among all of us. And we produce about 200 titles every year.
How can authors be partners throughout the production process?
One of the most important things is just to communicate with us really clearly about your book and about your questions, your priorities while we're producing your book together. PEs, we really do our best to understand the soul of a book and to be able to understand how to help that book connect with the readers that you're trying to reach. But we don't know everything, and sometimes we might miss the mark. And the best thing that we can do for each other and for your book is to make sure that we're talking openly with each other and that we are, kind of helping one another to meet the needs that we each have in this process. Being responsive is hugely helpful. We also really appreciate when you can be open to the suggestions and the instructions that we provide to you as PEs. One of the things I love about working on university press titles is that I get to work with people who have spent years and sometimes their entire life trying to understand things about our world. And so as a PE, I really feel very honored to be part of the process of getting that knowledge and that research out into the world. So we really try to honor the expertise of our authors, and we appreciate it when they can honor our expertise in return. It really makes a big difference is if authors can meet their deadlines. And deadlines, of course, are often fluid. There's usually a little bit of wiggle room in them. And sometimes there's a very good reason to miss a deadline. Sometimes it's more a matter just of time management. But whatever the reason, if deadlines are missed in a way that we don't communicate about clearly and that we're not able to work around, then it can put parts of the publishing process at risk. I really encourage our authors to remember that they are part of a whole family of authors when they come on board at a place like UC Press. Your book represents years of work, as I've mentioned before, and we as PEs take that really seriously. When it's time for us to be working on your book, we are giving our full attention to your book and your work.
Favorite thing about being a production editor?
I don't think that I can choose one answer, but I will try to just choose 2. So I think one of the first things is that I just get to be constantly learning, just all the time, just learning. And that's both about learning just how to be a good production editor and how to make good books, but also it's learning because I am actually reading books all the time about these really interesting and revolutionary ideas and concepts. I get to store all that away and think about it in other contexts and other times. I just feel really lucky because I am always exploring topics and ideas that maybe I didn't even know existed before. So that's one thing I love about being a PE. And the other thing that I love about being a PE, and I think you would get this answer from many PEs, is that we just love to be really, really particular about the tiniest details, about if this comma is in the right place and is that period formatted in bold or not, just the minutest details. It can be very satisfying after many years of being a PE to realize how much you have trained your brain and your eye to pick out the things that a reader might notice, or to pick out the things that nobody will notice, but you will notice, and you will know that they were right because of your efforts. So I just really love being able to give into that very myopically detail-oriented side of my personality and not in an annoying way, but in a way that actually is a benefit to the work and the authors.